Dude, I felt so attacked. You say it's like, all right, you know.
I grew up to the. I'm like
A person. Too much, man.
I don't know who the.
this is a blessing.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, straight up. Drop the top. Drop it.
Ooh,
Insane.
that's who, bro. So that's
logo and
Super blessed for you. Yeah.
One. Wow.
Sorry, Madeline.
All right, guys. Episode 29. God damn. Episode 29 of the Come Up Podcast. It is Aaron the Rapper.
Karma.
And we are back at it again with another episode for your head tops. And today we have a magnificent guest with us. Would you like to do the honors?
Yeah. Okay, so we have a very special guest today. I feel this episode will have come full circle due to the situations that were at hand. We have Dropout Devin. Dropout Dev, you want to say anything?
Yo, what's up? Come up, community.
Hey.
Good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking, like Austin said, finally come full circle. You know, we started this inception of this idea of doing a podcast back the last time we actually hosted for the 12 days of dropouts.
That was, last year?
Yeah.
Yep.
Years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got on your page. We hosted that night, had one of our buddies come out and help us out. And this all spawned from that night. And you inviting, Karma here to host.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the best ways that things happen is just kind of when they come together, like just naturally. And you know that's kind of like it's meant to be that way.
Right. Saying. It's crazy though, because I was looking at like messages and like dates and things, just seeing how far back all this went. And as far back as I could find was December 2nd of 2020. And I had hit you up to see if you wanted to be part of the Great 15 magazine. And then that's when we had the interview and everything. And then I had bought some merch, got some stickers, did some promotion. And then I think a couple months after that, it was like January, you would hit us up. Well, you would hit me up saying or asking if I wanted to start off the hosting. I was like, yeah, sure. I was like, I'll see if I can hit someone up to see if they can have it going with me. And I hit up Aaron. And then it was March 26th, I believe, when we had done that of last year. So, yeah, so it's crazy.
So had you guys done any? Have you guys done anything before that? Anything on video? Any kind of?
Nope, not at all.
Nice.
Yep, straight from the hip.
Just complete raw dogged it, went straight in, and started working out. I'm saying,
you gotta do, just go see where it goes. So how you feeling about it a year in? You guys like because it kind of came. So I guess it would say it kind of came like natural in a way, but like how have you guys been going about like seeing out the vision of like what you ended up what it ended up becoming?
Well, I mean, I don't know for you, but like for me, it was interesting because like I had always wanted to like promote underground artists and everything because like I seen all this talent and I'm like it just doesn't get promoted enough. And then I had ran into Nico. Nico had talked about you and how you essentially do the same thing and let them all perform on the dropouts. And like that just blew me away. And I was like, listen, the 815 in particular needs something like that. Because like I feel like not enough out here getting light shed on them. So that's when the Great 15 project came out. And I had him helping do all the edits and everything within the magazine. And I think that's like what started really like forming the connection we had that like started to drive this. But it's just crazy to see like where we're at now with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I bet it's felt pretty natural along the way because that was my thing with the dropouts is it was always I had this talented friend and I had this talented friend and I knew who this person who was super talented. And you go and you see other people that are super talented and they're out there making a career out of it. And it's like, what's the difference? It's like exposure. It's like they're no less talented than anybody else that out there is doing it as a profession. It's just they don't have that exposure. And like as soon as you start giving that to people, it just keeps on going. It just like that's how it was with the Dropouts. I like the very first Forever Festival, or not Forever Festival, Couch Tour that we did.
Yeah.
My whole idea was like it was week one of lockdown, and I did like a stream with two other friends, and I was like, what if you did this in like a festival, like take a whole day and do it with everybody? And I was like, well, I have all these friends that do music. Let me just ask all of them. I was expecting everybody to say no. Every single person I asked said yes. So we ended up having like 14, 15 people on the lineup. And then kind of after that, I was like, well, I'm just gonna keep doing this until people say no. And
Yeah.
then nobody said no, and it just like it. I mean, 3 million views later, a year and 3 million views later, like it was just, it was. I mean, it wrote itself.
Yeah. See that. That's mind blowing because like, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Nico one of the first people on there? From what
He
I had,
was, yeah, he was. Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
was gonna say,
Him and Church were the first rappers, first two
Hell yeah.
rappers on there.
yeah,
I mean, church specifically was a big reason. Church, knowing both of them, like that was a big reason way back in the day. Like I went to college for business management and like the music industry to be an artist manager, and that was a big reason because I was like, I know these talented people back from my hometown, and like they're just as talented as people I'm hearing on the radio. And like, what's the difference? It's like that they just don't have that team behind them pushing them to like get them that exposure, and so we did
yeah,
that with those views, and then people loved it. Like, we put tiny little boosts on it, and then a lot of that growth just ended up being natural after that, just because it's like people recognize that talent when they see it.
yeah. And it's crazy because like it for me, it's just crazy to see like how far the dropouts have come. Because like I've been pretty much
Yeah.
watching it since the lockdown, like when it all started, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
this is like growing to be something more than I even imagined possible. I was like, this is amazing. And like that's
Oh
like one of
yeah.
the yeah, and that's like one of the things that like it sparked me to like look at like what we're doing as a team and like, okay, how can we learn from that and like all the positive stuff that that's doing and like incorporate that locally.
Right. A
Yes.
more kind of. Well, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, there was definitely a point for me where I was kind of like, I think there's a point where you're doing stuff with like whether it's your artistry or like whatever your passion is, in this case, like the dropouts, where it's like you're the one that's constantly like putting that energy out there into the world. And there was a point like towards the end of 2020, and then especially in person, like this past year, 2021, where I was trying to grow it like locally here in Austin in a physical presence, where that energy started coming back to me, where people would reach out to me online and say like, hey, what is this dropouts thing, like let me in on this. Or I'd meet somebody at a show or something or a concert here, and I'd say, yo, my name's like Devin. I like, they ask for my social, I say Dropout Devin. They're like, oh shit, I know you, I follow you. And it's like getting that energy back is like, those are the points where I was like, oh shit, this is actually like doing, like, in your head when you're doing your thing, you're like, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm trying to do this, but it's always like, I gotta work harder. But then when you get that reciprocation, it's just kind of like, oh shit, this is actually happening. Like it's like I'm actually that this is like the thing that I said I was gonna do and I'm trying to do is actually like being done. And it's kind of like it's those moments that you kind of take a step back and you're like, okay, like this
Yeah.
is
Right.
what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's cool. You spend all this time trying to build and make a name for yourself, and then all of a sudden, people start to know your
It's
name.
made,
You know?
yeah. Yeah. So that's like that's a really rewarding aspect of it, but also just kind of seeing like um one reaching out. I don't know if you guys know, you probably both saw Paulus the rapper,
Yeah.
the
Of
young
course.
kid.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was the first person that ever did it online. He just straight up on his own social media account, like I didn't know who he was, but he just tagged the dropouts and Dropout Devin when we did that first Dropout Records release. And he's just like, oh, I hope this record label does really well. It's really cool to see what you're doing. And I was just that's really unique. This person just took like time out of their day to like shout us out. And it's like seeing stuff like that and then seeing it like energize other people like you guys with the come up. It's just like
Absolutely.
it's that's where you kind of I feel like that's where you kind of know you're on the right track and like you struck gold with something.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I want to kind of go back a little ways. So, you actually used to rap yourself. I don't know if you still currently rap. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I did rap. That is that's what started my music journey actually. So I like with church. So I met church I think in middle school. and we just like fucked around for a long time. And then high school, we just kind of like we reconnected in high school, really just from smoking weed and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it was one time I picked him up and we went to the South Side and he was just talking about rap. And like this was like when I was kind of discovering rap for the first time in my life. And he's like, you know, I want to rap myself. And he like, we're in like my old like beat up Buick. And he's like, let me, and like I think they're on the iPhone 2 or the iPhone 3G or something. And he's like, let me put this beat over your speaker and I'm gonna rap. And then he does it, and then I was like, I'm high as fuck. So I'm like, I could do that. Like, let me try doing that. And so then I absolutely, but I still have those recordings. I absolutely butchered it. And like, but he was like, he had some finesse. He was like, his talent showed early on. And so I was like, I just want like, it kind of like happened naturally to where that's what we both started doing. We'd hang out and we'd like look up beats to rap over and like look up conspiracies about the Illuminati, which like that was our go-to thing. But yeah, it was like that started I think our sophomore year of high school and went on until about our junior year. When do you guys know who Murph is? Local to the area, DJ Murph. I think he lives in Streeter still. He's a
No, I can't say
producer.
I've. Uh.
Okay, so he's a producer. So we ended up linking up with him, and I think he still lives locally because Zaire's talked about him a little bit. But we ended up linking up with him, and that's where we actually made a few tracks. Like I think we dropped maybe an EP and like a few singles, and then out of that, that's where I started to realize when we actually started recording stuff, I was like, okay, you know, if I write it out, I can do it. But like Zaire can like he can have a whole song right off the hip and
Yeah.
like and it's a good song and it sounds better than the song I just spent 3 hours writing. So it's like
Yeah.
that's where I started to realize like okay maybe this isn't like fully for me. And then watching Murph produce, I was like he showed me how to make a few dubstep tracks. That's where like EDM as it is now was starting to emerge.
Yeah.
And I watched him like produce a dubstep track, and I was like, this producing is way more interesting than like what I can do in the computer and get in return, like how that sounds versus what I can do like lyrically and then put into a mic and how that sounds is like I get much better results
Yeah.
like producing. And so that's where I started to like go that way. And yeah, I think that's 2011, 2012. That was when I had stopped rapping, but that little phase like contributed to exactly where I am today. Like I almost
Yeah.
up until that point in my life, I had planned to go to the military and like just that rapping career, I was like, yep, fuck everything. I'm gonna be a famous rapper. I don't need to go to the Marines. I don't need to do all this. And then I was like, it caused me to think like, oh well, how can I get that music career the fastest? And I thought about like, oh, well, if I stay home, if I do this, like I could do it, but like, how do I know that that's going to work right off the bat? And
Right.
so, like, me and Zaire worked out back then. It's like, hey, I'm going to make some money, I'm going to do some things, I'm going to make some moves so we can come back to this. And a lot of the stuff that we said we were going to do, it's kind of crazy thinking back now, 10 years at this point, like a lot of that stuff ended up happening. And so it's like, it's just, yeah, I guess that speaks to like sticking to your convictions and stuff like that
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
seeing things through. But yeah, it was a phase. And out of all of the songs that we made, I think there's two, um, Killer Times and Dreams, that I'd say that like I can still look back on now. And I don't know if you guys have heard either of those.
I'll have to
They're
hit
out.
Churchill. Yeah.
Yeah, they're out there. But those two I really like, and those two kind of speak to like where we were thinking back then and kind of where we've ended up today.
Yeah. No, it's cool to see. I mean, I have a project I'm working on with church now. Currently, we're doing a little
Yeah.
EP together.
Okay, nice.
He'll actually be over here tomorrow working on it.
Sweet,
So
sweet.
that's
Yes.
cool. I'll have to send you some tracks so you can peep what we got going on.
Yes, no, I'm definitely down to hear some of those.
Um, so talk about getting into music and production. What do you produce on, if you don't mind me asking? What software you use?
Ableton. That's
Ableton?
where I've ended
Nice.
up. Yeah, so I've been on Ableton for what year is it? 2021. like 5, 6, 7, like 7 years now. So when I first started, it was Fruity Loops or FL Studio now.
Yeah.
And then from there, I tried like Logic, Cubase, and a few other ones. And then um, Ableton was the first one to stick with me because it was like Fruity Loops has a really easy workflow, but a lot of the like it just seemed a little like off, like in terms of like the way that they some of like the names of like synthesizers or like tools are like goofy names and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Whereas Ableton's just like straightforward, it's gonna tell you how it is. And so
Right.
that ended up kind of like sticking with me a little bit more and like yeah, so that's kind of Ableton's what I've stuck with. And then in terms of like different synths and plugins and stuff, I lean heavily on like Native Instruments.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's a good distributor for all that stuff.
Yeah.
I use mostly like Isotope for
Okay.
plugins and whatnot. I'm
Yeah.
pretty fond of them. Now, how long have you been in the production side of things? Almost a little over 10 years now, then?
A little over 10 years. So this is a question that like people ask me a lot of times when I'm out there DJing or doing shows. And this is like a lot more recently. I don't really know what I want to tell them because normally when you tell somebody you've been producing for 10 years, like your track should probably sound like yay or something like that. Like they should probably sound pretty good if you've been doing it for 10 years. So that's where it's like I wasn't doing it seriously for 10 years. Like I started 10 years ago and I
Right.
did it. I dabbled in it. I learned about it. But for most of my Marine Corps career, I didn't touch the programs. Like I might log in there on a weekend or something like that, but generally and that's a big reason that I got out of the Marine Corps was I would like come home at the end of the day ready to produce and like I chug an energy drink or drink some coffee. I'm like, this is gonna get me going, and like the inspiration just wasn't there. Like after just
Yeah.
like getting beat up for like a day of like a full day of work, and
Right. You just
so yeah, yeah. So there was a big gap in like terms of actually producing, and then so like I like to think that I really started in 2018. So as soon as I started going to school for music, I had like a few friends I met in Nashville that made music too. And there was a point back then where I was like pumping out a couple like short tracks a day just because like it was like this perfect little moment where like the inspiration was there, the freedom was there because I was like in college. I didn't have too many obligations other than classwork. And I'm trying to get back to that level of freedom and that level of inspiration because it was magical. Like every day I was like I could just sit at the computer for 3 hours and like every 30 minutes to an hour I was like finishing like it wasn't like a full track, but it'd like be the base for like a really
right.
good track.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I'd like to say that's where I restarted, but that only went up until 2019 because then I moved to Texas and I've been doing a lot since getting down here to try and like set myself up and like build a presence in Texas, like build a community, like brand new state, brand new city, and all that stuff. Like get jobs, establish myself. So um, from the time I moved to Texas until a couple of months ago, I hadn't even opened my Ableton. Like I hadn't even opened it. But now I just started to getting back into it. So there's been like ultimately 10 years, but lots of pretty fair sized gaps in there.
Yeah. A couple lengthy breaks, huh?
Yeah, yeah. What about you?
I've used Logic Pro. I do everything on Logic Pro.
Oh,
And I don't know, I'm kind of same as you. I started producing maybe around like 2017, I would say. But
okay.
it was all my production was off of my phone. I was doing a whole album, recording, the production, everything off my phone.
That's phones are powerful things these days. That's
Oh,
like
Absolutely.
I do all my video editing and all my photo editing on my phone or my tablet. And
right.
there was a point where I tried to switch to a computer because it's like I need these
Oh,
stronger
bro.
tools. And my workflow crashed. And I was
Yeah,
like, I went
dude.
back to the phone and
It,
like, yeah, it's like those things are powerful.
You have a supercomputer in the palm of your hand. Yeah, absolutely. The first 25, 24 episodes of our podcast, I edited. They were all edited on my phone, filmed on my phone, all that
Yeah.
good shit, Phones are powerful tools.
Yeah.
My whole first album, Blooming in Silence, recorded, produced, mixed, mastered, all off of an iPhone 8 Plus.
Yeah,
That's all you need.
PC is like it's a struggle because like I've tried doing graphic designs on there. I've tried doing video editing and like I can do it, but like you said, the workflow just goes downhill. So like people like Madeline, like people like Madeline, I like congrats you for like being able to do that because like when I sit down and I try to, it is just such a hassle. I can like bring my phone everywhere and just like work on it on the go. I'm like, okay, let's get this when I can.
Yeah, I hop on my computer, 3 clicks, I'm on Pornhub.
So like, would you say like the military like helped you form like a better mindset as to like how to go about your goals and ambitions and like really like carve those into what you've wanted them to be?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And a big reason for that is like, so when you go into the military, like the very first thing they do, like, which is why the training is so long, is like they want to wipe the slate clean. Like they want to like all of your preconceived notions of like what's right and what's wrong and how you do things and how the world works. Like they wipe all of that. And I tell people it's like they brainwash you. Like they delete everything that was there and they put in what they want. But like when you go through that, and especially if you're like a pretty critical thinker, like a lot of people go through that and then they don't know how to change back to themselves or like retain who they like who they were at their core and stuff like that. And it like changes them pretty heavily. And even me at one point, I had like for my first year in the Marine Corps, like I was a different person. Like I was not the Devin that like went in. Like I was the Marine, and like it wasn't until like coming home and I because they shipped me off to Japan, I came home for 30 days, and that really like it was 30 days of being back in my own environment, and I realized how much I had like shifted in my personality, and so that was like pretty eye-opening for me to be able to like shift back. But because of that change, that just kind of taught me that like in a way, we're kind of like we're computers, like we're reprogrammable.
Yeah,
and like
you're moldable.
100%.
Exactly, yeah. So it kind of taught me whereas in like in the past, I'd be like, oh well, I don't know how to do this, I just can't do this, or I have this goal, but I don't know how to get there. Whereas now I think of it as in terms of like, okay, how can I make myself the person that can get there? Or how can I like who is there and what can I learn from them? And like what traits can I take from them? And then so that's definitely helped a lot because it's just I like it taught me to kind of focus on the things that I want. And then if there's ever something that's not working for me, I just try to do that reprogram. I'm just like, okay, this trait or that skill, this isn't getting me to where I need to go. Like, how do I need to change? And it also like it keeps me more open-minded. Whereas like a lot of people can just be like, oh, that's just the way I am. Like, and that becomes an excuse for a lot of things. Like I don't like to use that phrase because I feel like it's like accepting defeat if it's something that's holding you back from getting somewhere. So like I'd say it like 100% like one of the most valuable things to me was just being able to like, and I don't think you need the military to learn it. That's just the avenue that I learned it through. But just like that ability to like be able to just reset, not be afraid to like start new. Like I just accepted a position at Oracle, and it's a completely different field than I've done for the past 10 years. Completely different job field, and like it's because I realized like, okay, I've reached the dead end in this job field that I'm in. Like I don't see me getting to where I want to go in terms of my goals and stuff like that in this field anymore. And a lot of people would just kind of accept defeat right there and be like, well, I'm 10 years in, I gotta see this through. And like me, I'm just like, well, I'm gonna be halfway through my career starting in a brand new field, but like that's okay. Like it's gonna get me to where I want to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because like honestly, like I'm kind of like getting that at my job. So like I might within the next couple months be taking like a big risk and like hopefully it'll pay out. Like regardless, I'm gonna continue with my goals and shit. But like it's getting to that avenue right there. Yeah, red, white, and blue phase, like that didn't help me at all. like get back to like the humane feel to it. And then I had honorable discharge, came back, and the first 3 months, like I was supposed to go back to my job after the first month of being back, and I didn't. Like I was in my room, like waiting for people to tell me what to do, and like I wasn't necessarily complacent. I just like I was programmed to like be told what to do, and
You
I
need
didn't
direction.
know. Yeah. So like after that, I had to like what worked for me. Obviously, it doesn't work for everyone, but I had to get reckless to like find a balance in the middle to like find a sense of purpose in who I was again before coming back. But I definitely feel that helped some caliber.
Yeah, no, I tell everybody this. Like the single hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life was not even comparatively like going into the military was easy. Like like out of everything that I've ever done, the hardest thing and the most challenging, and like I'm still now with almost 3 years later after getting out, like well, 1 year after getting out of the reserves, but 3 years out of active duty, like I'm only just now like becoming, I guess, okay from it and like fully recovering from it, but getting out of the military, like because they give you so much training and it's so intense to like indoctrinate you. But on your way out, they're just like, hey, here's how to fill out a resume. Like, good luck. And like, we mentally fucked you, but I don't know if you got to bleep that out.
No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, but they're like, yeah, just go ahead and figure it out. And it is that thing. Like, you tell yourself like, oh, I can give myself a routine, I can have that order, and like that helps to a point, but like
it's still a sense of being
you have that sense of purpose, that sense of like, oh, it's I gotta do this. Like this is what everything's about. Like that goes away because it's just like you're either just money or
right. I had came back in, I think it was either 18 or 19. And this year, believe it or not, like when I had got COVID, I was like trapped on the couch for like a week straight. And like I ended up having like an ego death. And like that really like brought me back to the core of who I was finally. And like I didn't feel like trapped in this like mindset. Like I don't know if you had to go through this for a while, but like I hated like faking the emotion. Because, like, you're trained not to, like, feel and stuff. So, like, your face is just straight. But then you come back and you're supposed to, like, react to everything. Like, you see people laugh and you're like, okay, I got to laugh. But, like, inside you're like, it's not funny. Like,
oh, yeah. No, that's, for me, it kind of stuck because I was in for so long that never came back. Now, if I'm like bullshitting with friends or something like that, obviously that's natural and it's going to come out. But if it's just like the going through the motion thing in most social environments, like I'll just be there with a straight face, just like, I might actually be laughing on the inside, but it's just like, I'm like, well, I don't need to express any emotion.
Yeah, dude. Like, and it's weird because like to this day, like I still like kind of like feel insane in the head because like I'll be like having a conversation with someone and it could be the funniest thing ever. And as soon as I turn around, start walking away straight face, like instantly.
Deadpan.
And like, I'm not really worried if someone sees it, but like, I just don't want them confronting me like, hey, why? And I'm like, I don't want to go into this.
Yeah,
like,
Karma's got some RBF like a motherfucker.
Yeah, no, I've had a fair amount of people comment on it. Some people who like understand the military, they'll kind of understand it, but I have some other friends, especially like you have some friends that are like a little bit more emotional just naturally, like in their state, a little bit more expressive, where they'll just be like, I've had friends be like, I can't read you, like I don't know if what I said is like, I don't know if it landed, I don't know if it was funny, like you'll just agree with me, you'll just shake your head, or you'll just like look at me, and it's just like, what do you? Or sometimes I'll be having a conversation, but I'll just have like a straight face the whole time, and like people will be like, "Why are you trying to be so intimidating right now?" It's like, no, I thought we were just having a good conversation.
That's gotta be wild as like a DJ though, because you're supposed to be like out there like having fun and shit, and then like face just the whole time.
Well, that's the thing. So that's the thing. So like if I'm depending on where I'm at in a mix, like I am that like boppy smiling, but if I'm like doing some difficult transitions, like my concentrated face is like a war face. It is like very aggressive, and I just like Yeah, like I watched some videos back and it like I'll even like look at myself and I'm like, why do I look so pissed off? Like,
Yeah,
and it's like in
yeah.
reality, I'm just like sitting there focusing on it. But it's like, yeah, that's definitely something that like that's something that I don't even know if you can like short of like I don't know, maybe short of some ayahuasca experience. I
Like
don't think that anything's gonna replicate.
something, dude, something.
So a little while ago in our conversation, we talked about how you made the transition down to Texas, and then you kind of had to start over with building the Dropouts brand there, and this the cultivating events, I believe, is also another brand you're trying to raise up out there. You
Yes,
want to
yeah.
talk a little bit about that? What it was like to move to a new area and kind of get your brand started there?
Yeah, so one of the best things that like I got out of the military was like pulling me out of like the hometown, like right off the bat, like 18, like you're gone. And it wasn't just like you're gone to the other side of the country. It's like, no, we're gonna send you to Japan. And
Yeah.
like so that was like at first I was really hoping I'd get stationed on the East Coast so I could drive home, see friends, and like um that didn't happen. They sent me overseas, but that was so great because that like I call it like cutting the umbilical cord. Like they just
Yeah.
caused
Yeah.
me to like
Like,
disconnect completely. Like I had yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I
it's a
had
culture
no
shock.
connection. Yeah, exactly. And like that caused me like that and then all of the subsequent moves after that, like East Coast, West Coast, and then Nashville was the last place I was at before moving down to Austin. Um, that caused me to just like, get really comfortable, like moving to new places, starting in new environments, building new community. But Austin specifically was the first place that like I chose to move to on my own. All of the other ones, like the Marine Corps had picked for me. And like I was finally out of active duty and I'd like dropped out of college. And so I was like, what's the next step for me? Where do I want to go that I'm gonna be happy? And like Tennessee I liked just because I like warm weather. Like but Texas, it's 80 degrees outside right now. And
Yeah.
so it's like I knew that I wanted to go a little bit further south and I have some family in Texas. And Austin specifically is just such a unique community and it paid out exponentially because like for the first time, like the community I built down here, I think is probably actually stronger. Like out of all the places that I moved, the strongest community that I'd ever been a part of was still the one back home in Ottawa. And like it wasn't until moving here and then I moved here and this was my plan. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get a job at the like I'm gonna start applying to places. I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna meet friends that way. I'm gonna go to shows. But for my first 6 months here, I just sat in my house going through interview processes and all these different things because I was like, oh, in 6 months, like everything's just gonna start. And
Right.
then everything starts in 6 months and everything's going good. And then 3 weeks later, the world shuts down. And so
Yeah.
like I'm in this brand new city. I don't know anybody, and I'm locked in. I'm locked inside, and so that's what kind of where the dropouts came from. Because right before everything locked down, Kobe had died, and he was only 41, and that was literally what triggered the dropouts. Because all of these ideas that I had had before that were just kind of like ideas, and I'd tried a few things, and nothing ever worked out. And then that happened, and I was like, and his age is what struck me specifically because he was
Yeah.
41, and I was like how old was I at the time? 25, I think. And I was like, I'm only 15 years away from that. And it's like,
Right.
I've done some cool things, but I haven't done anything like that. And like, I'm maybe I do make something like that much of an impact, or maybe I don't, but I'd like to try to get as close to that kind of impact as possible in my life. And so that caused me to do the dropouts, but then the dropouts as it is now is what it was supposed to be 2 years ago. But the lockdowns caused everything to be virtual,
Yeah.
which ended up working out for the best because I think that's how the community ended up just like getting built up. And then that's why 2020 was so like so fast paced because I was just stuck inside. I had so much time. And then that's why 2021 was way more culminating events and way less dropouts because I finally could do stuff in person. So I was
Right.
using that dropout brand, but I was doing it through a promotion label to kind of yeah, to kind of like do it in person and build that in person presence so that we could actually do physical events like rent out venues or do like the boat parties that we've been doing. But yeah, it's the way it's happened in natural or in Austin is a lot like how it happened kind of online. It's like I just started I saw this post the other day that I shared and it was like the best way to build like a genuine community is to just like not focus on building the community, but like whatever you are, whatever you have inside, just like push that out, just like
Yes.
share that, like great, like push it out so much with the world, and it's gonna act like a magnet and bring everything that you need to you. And like that's what happened with the dropouts, and then also here in Austin, that's just what kind of happened. And it's like the community here has just been growing so fast, and so it's like, yeah, it's when I first started out like coming here, I wasn't expecting it to do what it did. But and I think also the pandemic having locked everybody up, once everybody was free again, that just made people in general want to connect. And so it's like I always tell people like as rough as this pandemic was and everything like that, and like I'll have friends say like I wish COVID never happened, and it's like in a way, yes, obviously that would, be magnificent if something like this couldn't have happened, but also it's like I don't know if the dropouts would be the dropouts, the culminating events would be culminating. I don't know if any of this would be here if it wasn't for the past 2 years.
Right. It kind of gave everyone a chance to kind of sit, reflect. Like, I know a lot of, especially like creatives like us, we had a chance to sit down and be like, all right, what do I really want to do? And it just gave us a chance to really kind of refocus and shift all of our drive into pursuing our goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had just recently watched Joe Rogan and Kevin Hart talking, and that I'm not even done with that podcast yet, but like I'm halfway through it, and I'm just so blown away by like the stuff Kevin Hart was like talking about, and they're talking about how like life's like a game, and it's like you can either play the game and level up and go through these trials, or you can just play it to like look at everything around you.
Yeah, you're an NPC.
Essentially, yes, NBC. And I think with COVID, I think this was like a level that was like meant to happen. Yes, it's negative and everything, but like it's about how you went through it to like really perceive like what benefits came from this negative situation. Because like you said, like I don't think the come up would be what it is now without that, because when COVID had started, you had started that. Right after that is when I decided to turn TCU into like a actual like brand and stuff. And I decided to go with the magazine. The magazine sparked the podcast from you hitting me up, and everything just like fell into place after that.
Yeah, no, I think it was a big wake up call, because it's like, one, it just kind of shows all of us like exactly how vulnerable we are, but like also the fallout of it just kind of showed like this is anybody's game. Like it's a game, but like it's anybody can take the board. Like anybody can do what they want. And like a big part of 2020 was me kind of realizing like it's just a matter of who wants it. Like anybody can take it. Like if you want it, like go get it, and like it's yours. And that was a big thing, especially it caused me to like think more seriously about the artistry and stuff too, because I was like, well, this pandemic, like I always say, like as bad as it was, we are lucky that it wasn't more contagious. It wasn't more deadly, because we were caught like with our pants down. And
Absolutely.
like it wasn't even that bad of a virus, like in the grand scheme of what it could have been, and we're still dealing with it 2 years later. And so like it could have easily like decimated the population way worse than it was, and it just kind of showed like, wow, like everything could end at any point. Like why not do what you really want to do like as soon as you can do it, and like as hard as you can do it to make it happen. And it's like, yeah, it's just, and with this, like, yeah, I don't know, it's just with all the stuff that's just going on more in the world and more people being more risky, I it's just kind of realizing like, I've seen a lot of like people like Logan Paul say like, we're living in a simulation, like you could do whatever you want, like, and that kind of speaks to like the game thing. And like I think realizing that like it really is like whoever is bold enough to get out there and do it, people are just gonna recognize that and be like, okay, I fuck with that. Like I fuck with you. And like, and that's, I mean, it becomes like, it runs itself after that.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you said. Are you bold enough to go grab it? It's out there. It's right in front of your face for the taking, but are you bold enough to step out of line and grab the shit?
And like, that can fall back on like any scenario. Look at like, I like looking at the scenario of like the mumble rappers. Like if artists like them can make a wave like that and make that really admit and people rock with it, who's to say you can't go out and start the smallest business ever and blow up to be like $1 billion business?
No, you just have to be bold, and the more bold you are, the faster you're gonna rise. A great example that I just saw recently. Have you guys seen those Island Boys?
Oh my God. Yeah.
So the very first time I saw that Barstool Sports video roasting them, I was like, oh, these guys. And I was like, I didn't like them. I was just kind of like, oh. But like as soon as I noticed myself thinking like that, I was like, they're gonna be huge. I was like, they just like whether it was good energy or bad energy, kind of like Kanye says, no publicity, all publicity is good publicity. Like it's like that's going to skyrocket them. It's going to polarize people, which is going to cause people to talk about them, which is going to cause people to want to like associate with them. And next thing you know, like they're on Instagram with all the different big artists and like I still don't even know if they've released music or what but
they got like
one of the brothers. Yeah.
But before they did that, they had to be bold enough to make like they transformed their whole bodies to be those like to be the Island Boys. Like they had to be bold enough to do that before they knew if it was gonna work out. What if that didn't work out and like where are you gonna go work like that? Are you gonna like that? So it's like and that I mean, but it pays off. It's like that they took that leap and it works.
Yeah. I just wish it was a little more of a head-on.
I'm with you.
Those couple of goofy kids. I've seen a few of those interviews with them where they are just raging on people. Ooh.
So like,
I haven't even watched them. I don't know if I could.
It's pretty rough. It's a rough watch.
Logan and Jake Paul, they had started out on like what Vine and like they were in like some farm or something like that, and like now they're
before that Disney Channel. They were Disney on some Disney show, I think.
Really?
At least Jake was. I don't know if Logan was, but yeah, they were just secondary characters on some show.
You're correct. Jake was for sure. I think it was like Allie and AJ or some shit like that. He played like a background character on a couple episodes. I remember seeing something on Twitter about it.
Hobson had got his
That's so Raven,
start.
bro.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Just a background character at a lunch table.
Wow.
Yeah,
that just goes to show that like you can it just takes anything. Like
you
the
try anything.
The second that you're like, I'm not gonna be a background character, I'm gonna be the main. And,
exactly. And then there's like there's that, and like with it being a game, like games usually like give you like arrows and signs on which way you gotta go next. Like if you really start like thinking that way and you start looking around you, like things become more and more clear, and you can see where that next like level is going to be as long as you take that shot and you don't avoid it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna butcher this quote, so don't take it verbatim, but it was something about like life is kind of like a game where it's like if you're running into bad guys, which essentially you could compare to like conflict, if you're running into conflict and challenges, then you're going in the right direction. Like because those like in the game, if you run into bad guys, you know you're going towards the boss or whatever that is. And in life, if you're running through those challenges, like yeah, it sucks, but yeah, you're grinding. But like that, you ultimately know you're working towards a reward, which is kind of like, which is kind of another thing that like also 2020 was for me, because like 2020 and then not so much 2021. 2021 was more positive, but both of them, even though they're like the two best years of my life, they were simultaneously the two worst years of my life, and it's like they were extremely challenging, and it was like just pushing. Like sometimes it was just like this fucking sucks so bad, but I'm just gonna push through it. I'm pushing through it. And then you come on the other side and you're like, holy shit, like, wow. Like you finally take a step to look back and you're like, okay, that did suck, but like, I only have positive memories about it because of like where it got me. And so it's like, I think it is like when you treat it like that and like, you're just like, whatever challenge, whatever adversity gets thrown at me is literally just like an obstacle that I have to overcome. It's like stuff just starts happening.
Yeah, definitely. Like I know the magazine, as fun as it was making, it was such a fucking struggle. Like I'm glad I had him there to at least like edit it for me, because I would have been going even more insane trying to do that and then putting it out. And then I know you don't get like enough recognition for this, I feel, but like the 25, 26 episodes you did, along with trying to do the album and planning for the wedding and all that shit. And like now you're like finally like getting to a more steady pace.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Stable.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, by the way, on that. I saw some
Appreciate
of the
it.
pictures and stuff. But yeah, that's a huge moment.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, I got to talk about it a little bit last podcast, but Serena's for sure one of my best friends, and I you know, couldn't picture marrying or being with anybody else. You know, we talk about milestones and things just making you a better person overall. And she has just completely upgraded me from the shitbag I was into a better shitbag.
Exactly. Oh, that's
sprayed some perfume on it.
There. Yeah, no, that's something that I look forward to when the time comes, because like there's lots of times where I'm like on a path where it's like I really need someone here to stop me from doing this dumbass decision, like, but they're not here, so I'm gonna make it right now.
Yeah.
But like I look forward to the day where like somebody's there to be like, hey, maybe don't do that.
Yeah, for real. Like, wait for it. It's definitely not something to rush into. You don't want to.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you rush into
Yeah.
it, lock down with the wrong one. I mean, it's.
No,
fucking-
I was engaged back when I almost got married, 2014, pretty long ago now, but like in the military, kind of like, I don't know if you can speak to this a little bit, but like when you join the military, there's a little bit of pressure, especially with like the extra pay and stuff like that, and like being a little bit more established in life to kind of like beat up and stuff like that. So I had met a girl in Japan, and like a year later we were trying to get married, and then they moved me to Nashville, so there was some long distance stuff, and then ultimately that kind of fell apart. It was like it didn't have a strong enough base, but like
Did Jody appear?
no, surprisingly not. But Jody did do a little bit of work though, because there were some trust issues, because in her last relationship, I don't even know what the female equivalent of Jody would be. But in the last relationship, her boyfriend, caused some trust issues and stuff like that. So that was carried over. Like when you're young, you don't know how to like separate that kind of stuff. And so, it was just like we were both way too young. And I think back now, and it's like that's definitely why I'm in more of a like when it comes type of thing. Because back then, like into it and then it not happening, like going from for a year, it's like I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with this person, and then like that falling apart, then it was kind of like, okay, maybe I should think about that a little bit more. The next
kind of a sour taste, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was with my chick for like 4 or 5 years. We have 3 kids together, but like once I realized that just like once I realized like that was holding me back, and like she wasn't like nothing against her. It was just like we weren't for each other because I didn't see us benefiting each other's goals. It's like once I was able to step back, I was able to like achieve everything I've been trying to do for my kids. And like in the long run, it was worth it. But like, that's why I'm just like waiting. I'm gonna let that happen naturally if it happens.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't feel like work. Like coming together, like it should feel like, and people say power couple and stuff like that, but I think just a couple, like the strong couple, like the good goal for a couple is like should just be what a power couple is. Like you guys build each other up.
You're
like,
a team.
Yeah, everything feels so naturally. You do everything together. You don't make decisions alone. It's like everything is communicated. Like that's how you know you like found the right one. You've got the right dynamic going.
Right. You got to move as a unit, you know? You start thinking about you guys as a pairing as opposed to you as the individual.
Yeah, because that's what you literally are that after that.
Nice. Enough relationship talk between all 3 of us. I'm sure the listeners could do without that. I actually wanted to talk to you a little bit about DJing. I know we talked about your rap career before, and then kind of getting into the production a bit. What brought about picking up a board and actually learning how to work the board and do that?
So similarly, I've actually been DJing for not nearly as long as I've been producing or I guess rapping essentially, but I picked up a board probably in like 2014, 2015. And I started out doing like just in like stuff that I wanted to do like in bedroom studio style stuff, just mixing my own stuff for my own taste. And then I thought like, oh, I want to do this as like I want to make some money from this. So then I would start like and also like it's just nice to like anybody who's like taking the aux when they're with their friends in the car or something like that. It's nice to be in control of the vibe. Like that's
Right.
for somebody who's really passionate about music. It's nice, especially being in the Marines and being around a lot of people that weren't like overtly passionate about music and me having that passion. It's like, oh, I have the opportunity to share this with all of these people. And so like I got really heavily into it then because I was like, this is an easy way to like expose everybody to the stuff that I'm listening to. So like we'd have our Marine Corps balls and all kinds of stuff like that that I would DJ for and mess nights. It was basically a bunch of Marines just getting drunk. Like usually like in our uniforms, it was a formal event, but like there'd be the dance portion afterwards. And so I'd like mix then. And then I would like there were a few different Marines that I would DJ for their wedding receptions. So that was the only kind of DJ experience I had, which was very like open format DJing. Like I would play
Right.
my kind of dance music, but I'd also play like pop and rock and hip hop and everything like that. Um, and then I stopped around the time that I moved. Actually, I moved to Texas and then I sold my DJ controller because I thought I was just kind of like, I was like, well, I don't want to DJ weddings. Like, I don't want to do anything like that. Like, I think I'm done with this portion of it. Like, when I mix again, I want it to be mixing my own music.
Right.
And then lockdown happened, and I was like, oh, I want to get all these people for the couch tour. I was like, I want to get everybody like in these festivals, and like I want everybody to do live streams. And I was like, I don't have enough original music to like live stream my stuff. What could I do? Because I still want to be a part of this. I want to like, I have people that would come watch the whole thing if I was a part of it. So I need some way to like have myself involved, like um to be a part of it to where people like would come like because a lot of my friends that I was initially getting to like view it, they didn't know who the other artists were. So I
Right.
needed to pull it like, oh well, I'm playing too. And
Right.
so that's where I was like, okay, well I can DJ. Like, and so I started literally I was DJing through Ableton at first because like I had my DJ software, but I didn't have a controller, but I had my Ableton push controller. So I was like, I figured out a way to mix on that for the first few, and then once like those first few couch tours like blew up, I was like, oh, well, I can't be just doing this half-ass like on this. So then I got another board, and then being stuck inside is what caused me to being locked up for that year. I was just kind of like, okay, like I got deeper into mixing than I had ever gotten into it before, and like I was kind of discovering music that I hadn't heard before because I was like trying to like perfect my mixes and stuff like that. And again, it was just like 2020, like if it wouldn't have happened the way that it happened, just being stuck inside and having all that time to focus on like honing a craft, like I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now. Because now I think back and it's like all of my other DJing is like I don't really think of it as something to be proud of, as more of just like being a glorified iPod in the past. Whereas now I'm like making like mixes that I'll actually like play back like myself and listen to along with other DJ mixes and stuff like that.
It's
Um,
sick.
yeah, and then that kind of the point of that was never to even end up in a live scenario, but the way that that happened was just like I ended up linking up with live DJs here in Austin, and now we're like we're playing at venues. I just played in downtown Austin at one of the clubs right before New Year's, and so and that was my first. I this is a funny because I set at the beginning of 2021. I was like, okay, we're gonna do a lot of in-person stuff, and I want to end the year playing in like a professional club. And it almost didn't happen. And then literally right at the end of the year, this guy hits me up. Like I didn't try to land this at all, but this guy hits me up. He's like, you want to play downtown on 6th Street? And I was just like, yeah. Yeah. In a way, I wasn't even surprised because I was like, you know what? At the beginning of the year, I said that this was going to happen. So it's like I can't even be surprised. This
Yeah.
is that manifestation and just like putting that energy out there and it coming back. And so now it just kind of like I still produce my own music and I actually have a few tracks coming out here in the spring right before our first boat party.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's that turned into its own thing where it's like now I can go out there, I can DJ. A lot of times I do it for free, but like I can also there's also some gigs I can get where I'm getting paid for that as well. So it's like it just kind of kind of like with everything else, it just kind of like once I started working towards something, it just turned into its own beast.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It looks super dope. Like I've seen a few of like the pictures and stuff from the lake over you've done, and like that shit looks amazing. You want to talk about that a little bit? What's that like, man?
Those are another thing where it's just like it happened. So it's like if it didn't happen, if I wasn't physically present, I would still kind of think like it was just like fake or something like that. The way that kind of worked out because um, a big thing for the dropouts is like a big reason that I dropped out of music business school specifically is because I realized when I was actually learning about the music industry, like from the professionals, from the people that are actually in the industry, is like the industry is like very heavily lined with gatekeepers. Like it's a lot of people like there's a lot of people trying to stop you from getting to where you're trying to go. Like they say, oh, we're trying to help you. It's like, no, they just want to help who they want to help. And it's like, and usually it's people within their own network. Like they're not trying to just let other people come and shake up the industry or do their own thing. So with the dropouts and with culminating events, like my goal has been not to do it to the traditional way. Like I don't want to go through any gatekeepers. Like as much as possible, I don't want to go through traditional promoters. Like I want to promote my own events. I would want to like promote myself. I want to build my artistry and like act as my own agent and stuff like that to kind of stop those like which eventually I'll have to conform to it in some way, but like as independent as possible is like what I want to be. So like booking venues, especially in a big city like Austin, like you have to go through like those avenues. And so that's where I was just kind of like, how can I do this without doing this? And I would do like lots of free shows at the park. And then I realized like, oh wait, they have these barges that can fit like 75 to 100 people on them. Like, and you can bring your own sound system, you can bring your own mixers, and like you can fill up the boat and do your own thing. And so I was like, okay, we'll see how this is. Like all I had done before that is just like throwing shows at parks, which I had built a pretty huge network from that. But like we threw our first event and I think the boat could fit 50 people. And I put the tickets on sale and they were sold out a couple days later. And
Nice.
I was just like, and then it was just an insane party. Like it was just like it coincided with my birthday. So it's like it was kind of part my birthday party and then part just like an event, but like it just went off crazy and just the way everything worked out and like lined up. It was another one of those things where like when it was happening, I was just like, what's even going on right now? Like, how did I pull this off? How did this just work? And then so after that, I was like, okay, well, this is a way to do it. And it's unique because it's like anybody can go to a show at a bar or whatever and have this like same experience that you're used to having, but like doing it on a boat's a little bit different. Like you're out there, like great weather, like you can hop off the boat and swim if you want to once it docks and stuff like that. And I'm still able to book local and rising talent. Like I'm still able to book like me and my friends, like people who we want to, and then pay them also. That's a big part of it. Is like it's not just hey, let's like play for free. It's like I'm actually able to pay them, and because there's no promoter, there's no venue that you're booking out. Granted, I'm renting out the boat, but other than
Right.
that, like the cost comparison is like way less. So I'm able to actually pay them like very well, like not necessarily industry standards, but like for an artist just starting out, like it's well worth their time. And so it's like just being able to kind of do that and like in the way the dropouts was like being able to promote artists and like give them exposure, like now it's able to promote them, give them exposure, but also like pay them so they can kind of feel it out as a career, like oh, this is what it's like to come out here and like basically get paid to like do what you love, get paid to party, like throw a good time, and then also when you're not mixing, like just have a good time. But
Yeah.
yeah, the way that those worked out was like just really nice. But we have one a month lined up starting this April, and I'm working with a lot of artists to try to create that natural promotion system that you might get from the industry where like somebody releases an album and then they go on tour. So like the first boat party, I'm gonna have a few tracks that like I'm gonna debut there and I'm gonna tease them before, but it's gonna be like kind of that exclusivity of like, oh, if you come here, you can hear these tracks like played for the first
Right.
time. So like we're trying to do things like with that this year and just we're gonna see where that goes and hopefully hopefully everything goes really well with it.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You want to hold conversation real quick? I really have to use the restroom.
Yeah, that's
All right, dope. I'll be right back.
My looks like my light died on us.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed it got a little darker. Is the video still coming through pretty good?
Oh yeah, video. It's beautiful right now. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, dude. So I actually brought these with just to like show them off and like how far we've come and everything. Like it's weird just like seeing that like starting out and everything.
Yes.
Got
OG
that.
shirt.
Oh yeah. Got all the stickers in here still, except for the ones that are on the laptop.
V2 V2 of the slap packs is coming out this year.
Hey, you guys heard it here.
Yeah.
And then this wonderful beauty.
Yo, G.
I gotta see if I can find that pic. Yay, here it is. First flip. Would you look at that? Yeah.
Yes. I still got that one. I need to get that framed actually.
Absolutely amazing. I was so happy to like have you guys on that. That was honestly, I think that was like a game changer for like where I coursed TCU, because I made TCU back in like 2016, I think. And it was just like, if I had like a record label or something, that's what it was going to be. And I didn't do anything with it. And then I started promoting everyone just because like I was blown away. No one was like showing off this talent out here.
Yeah.
And Nico had hit me up, Twisted hit me up, Ethereal hit me up, and they're like, listen, man, like you promote everyone. Why don't you do something with it? I was like, well, I've been thinking about it. And like for a while I was thinking about like doing a podcast or like having a radio station or something. I'm like, I just kept working towards it, and it ended up like manifesting itself with everything that we had done through trial and error. But it's just like so crazy to see the growth in where the dropouts has come, where the come ups come, where other artists out here and everywhere around have come. And you had what, Smith FX on there at one point, right?
Yeah, no, he's been on there a few times. Yeah.
I had actually met him through the military. So like when I was in, I think I was in basic when I met him. I can't remember, but as soon as I had gotten to the Bay, he looked at me, he goes, yo man, what you do? Because like I seen them beatboxing and stuff, and like my ears kind of perked. And he's like, what you do? I was like, I rap. And he's like, man, I already heard that from this last dude. And I guess this last dude, I don't know who he was, but he's like, this last dude said it and he's whack. he's like, so spit something over this. And like, I just started freestyling, and they're like, oh shit, he raps. And like, since that day, like he was like one of the inspirations to like have me keep going. Because once we got out, I didn't expect to like connect with him because he lives in Indiana. And he had added me on Facebook. He called me. He's like, yo, let's make a track together. So like I made something on my phone, sent it his way. He's working on it on his phone. And then that stuff just like is what kept me motivated to get going till I found like the key initial points that led us to here.
Oh yeah. No, that's the thing. It's like in the beginning, you need those people that like misery loves company, like in a sense. So like when you're grinding in the beginning, like if you don't have somebody there, like when I first started rapping, for example, like if I wasn't doing it with Zaire, like nothing would have came of it. And like even with him, he had the talent, but he didn't have anybody to express that with. So like I'm not sure it would have went anywhere for him as well if he hadn't had somebody to kind of bounce that off of at first, like for them to then like say like, oh, this is good, or for you to like make something together. But that's like, yeah, until you get to that point where you actually can see the results of it, it's like 100% you need that community.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having that community is a big part. Evidently, it was a big part in you starting Dropouts, and that was a big inspiration for us starting to come up. So community is very important in this music thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. I mean, we've run a pretty good conversation. I think we're almost about an hour and 10 minutes in the video footage. Is there anything else you wanted to ask our guests while we still have them?
Is there anything big you want to promote or put out there?
Ooh, let me think.
Manifest, bro. Manifest.
Yeah.
So let's say, Well, this is going to be another big year specifically for culminating events, which is the more localized in-person stuff. But like this year is a big um, with the Dropout store finally being established, with culminating events finally being established, and with the dropouts, I kind of think of it like the trifecta. Like this is going to be a big year of trying to combine, and it's very much not. Um, it's not well defined in my head yet. I know kind of where it's supposed to be, but the puzzle isn't fully put together. But this year is going to be a big year for just kind of all three of those, like combining, meshing together well, and then pushing forward. So while I can't say anything specific, I can say where it was relative radio silence for the dropouts in 2021. It's definitely not going to be that in 2022.
Dropouts will be making some noise, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I'll leave a little air of mystery in there.
All right. You heard it here in TCU podcast.
Yeah. Well, nice, man. That was we really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Yeah. Hey.
I actually I do have one thing. This just kind of came to mind. So I assume that like this is gonna be going on a year from now, and everything that I'm doing, I assume I'm gonna still be doing a year from now. So I imagine there will be another opportunity to hop on this podcast. So what I would actually like to do is ask you guys, what's one thing before the next time that we meet that you have set, and it could be anything big or small that you have set that you think maybe a year from now, whether it's the podcast or your music individually that you'll be doing.
Okay. So I don't want to speak on it too much because it's just starting out as an opportunity, but I definitely know we can manifest this into something beautiful. We just had a recent connect that we might be furthering into part of the music industry. Got to be careful with what I'm saying on it before I spill the beans, but yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll come back.
Oh yeah, a year from now we'll be talking about it.
Yeah, we have that going on. I know personally for myself, I want to get a little more into music videos and like producing music videos and filming and editing and all that stuff. So hopefully we have some a few music videos thrown up on our page as well that are directed by Karma and Aaron the Rapper here.
Ooh, yes. I'm ready for those. Yeah, that was a big thing. One quick little thing, but that was a big thing for me with like you guys probably both know with Nico. Is once he started dropping those music videos, I was like, okay, like that. I liked the tracks, but once those music videos came out, I was like, fuck. Now I want to see every song as a music video.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, the videos add a whole nother level of production onto your craft. It's
they really fill the story out too.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything you can do to make yourself seem a little more highbrow for those fucking people out there,
Yep, let them know.
Oh yeah. But
absolutely, man. Well, we good?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. It was super dope having you on the podcast finally. I know this is something, we've been waiting for a while. We kind of just wanted to thank you for making us link up in the first place. We genuinely don't think that this would be possible without, you first reaching out to Austin to host the page for you.
Yes.
Real quick, actually, you want to shout out all your socials so people can follow everything?
Yes. So at Dropout Devin, at the Dropouts Official, at the Dropout.store. So there's a period in there. At Culminating Events, and then at the Dropouts Forever Festival.
Awesome.
You can find those on Facebook and Instagram.
All right.
Thank you guys for connecting. Thanks for this opportunity. And again, you guys already know, but if you ever want to take over the Dropouts platform, like it's a platform for everybody. So it's like it's as much yours as it is mine to like get in there and either promote or just make some magic happen.
Yeah, we appreciate that big time.
I will be on there soon. I got a new project I'm working on, so as soon as that drops, I'm on it.
We're ready. Yes, we'll do it.
Good shit. Well, thank you again, Devin. We really appreciate having you on. This has been a super dope conversation. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I'm just like really happy to see this come full circle and us to like be able to thank you and promote you on our platform this time. So yeah, I appreciate that a lot.
It has come full circle, and actually, not just in your guys' circle, but almost for me. In 13 days is the second anniversary of the Dropouts period. So it's like
Hey,
very, very, very good timing on all of it.
Hell yeah.
absolutely. Universe works in some mysterious ways for sure.
Yeah.
Probably about this time 2 years ago is when I had the idea. Where it's like, so it's The
That's
universe
awesome.
definitely has some magical things going on.
Yes, it does. And it's been extraordinary to see what you've built, and we are excited to see where it continues to grow to. You know, we want to continue to see you strive to hit those heights we know you're reaching for.
Yeah, no, same with you guys. I think it's not even a thought. Like I know it's just going like you're on the right track. You're consistent, and it's like that's all it is consistency and seeing it through. And like that's where whatever you've seen now is like a year from now you're just gonna see exponentially more of, and it's just gonna snowball. And I'm excited. I'm excited for you, for me, for everybody that's a part of it, because it's a pretty great thing.
Absolutely. I mark it here on your calendars. Roughly a year from now, we'll have him back on.
The return.
And we'll be talking about all the
We'll
crazy
do it
shit
on
we've
Dropout
accomplished.
Day, we'll do it on Dropout Day next year,
Yeah.
which is 27.
All right.
You heard it here first, folks. Devin will be back 27th next year.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
If we're not all on tour, then, which we know.
Good shit. All right, guys.
All right.
This has been episode 29 of the Come Up Podcast. I've been Aaron the Rapper,
Karma and
Dropout Dev. Hell yeah. We appreciate you coming on again, brother. You have a good night. We'll talk soon. Stay in touch, all right?
Peace out. Stay good.
Yep. Take it easy, man.